Summit audience. I'm Elizabeth Dr. E. Carter. Hope you are enjoying the previous speakers and getting your full of nuggets of tools that will allow you to elevate from wherever you are to where you want to go. I have with me right now, looking forward to talking to her, Ms. Deana Jean. And let me tell you about who she is. She calls herself your collab queen. I didn't bring my tiara. I want to be a queen too. All right. She is an award winning business growth strategist and international speaker, y'all, with over 15 years in sales and executive leadership experience and a heart for community and collaboration. All right. Now, I don't want to tell any more about her. I want her to introduce herself to you. Welcome, Deana. Thank you for being on the Elevate Your Value stage.
Hey, Elizabeth, thank you so much. I am glad to be here. It is always great to connect with amazing thought leaders who are talking about how to elevate value. So, as you mentioned, my name is Deana Jean. They call me your collab queen, and it's because I truly believe that collaboration is much stronger than competition. So much so that I've created an entire business model out of it that allows for me to bring the best and the brightest people that I know together to create amazing things. And it's work that I love to do.
So I love that. And you're so right about the collaboration piece, because we are stronger together than we are separately. And
Yeah.
we all bring certain strengths to the table. There's things that you do that I can't do, things that I do you can't do. So we need each other. And I love, especially for entrepreneurs, we're trying to go it alone and we
Hmm.
can't. We
Mm-mm.
really do need each other. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here.
Of
Appreciate
course.
that.
Of course.
So with you being the collab queen, what drew you to want to do that full time as a business?
So it's interesting because I think a lot of times when we start businesses, we realize that sometimes we start them out of necessity, right? It's like, I have to get out of this other thing, right? Or I'm going to go crazy, or I need to make a little bit more money. And when we do that, a lot of times we end up going to the thing that is more so like, the thing that we've been known for, but maybe we don't love to do. The thing that we know that we can make some money on, but we're like, you know, I'll do it if I have to. And for me, that was how my business initially started. I have a background in sales leadership and training and development, and worked in the tech industry for over a decade and a half. And when I initially pivoted my business, I pivoted it because I wanted to be able to have more control over my time and have more control over the people that I was partnering with and that I was working with. And so very organically, what I pivoted to was basically doing what I did in my job just as a contractor. So I flipped my employer from my employer to my client. In essence, though, doing the same thing that I had been doing all those years, which I was very, very, very good at. But I felt like I had basically given myself another job. And eventually, what ended up happening was, even as I was doing that and doing very well with it, I was having more and more people that were coming to me and actually telling me what my gift was. People were coming to me and saying, "Hey, Deana, like, I know that you're an entrepreneur right now, and I want to know if you could connect me to someone who could help me with this. Hey, Deana, I know that you're doing this. Who would you recommend for this thing? Hey, Deana, I know that you were in this career and you use the relationships in the career to elevate within the space. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you did that?" And after a while, I realized that that truly was my gift. My gift was connecting people, but also helping people understand how to connect. And in the end, I also realized that that actually was my superpower as a salesperson and as a sales leader. So when I started to lean into that, what I started to notice was that I was getting more and more clients. I started to work with entrepreneurs, organizations, more and more people that lit me up. And that's basically how everything evolved. The market told me, my clients told me who I was and what they wanted, and the business evolved around that.
Wow, that's great. And an important part of what you said is that your clients told you what your
Mhm.
superpower was. A lot
Yeah.
of times we hear it, but we're so focused on that, what I call our master discipline, whatever that
Yeah.
job is that we go to every day that gives us a check every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever it is. But ultimately, as you mentioned, you were able to take yourself out of that working environment, still do what you were great at and enjoy, but now do it for yourself. And that expanded into other areas where you're similarly strong and you may not have even known it. So
Yeah.
for my audience, that's what you need to think about. What people coming to you saying, I need help with? Could you help me find? Could you direct me to? That's your superpower. You may be strong in finance,
Mhm.
HR, sales, but there's other aspects of who you are and what you bring to the table that are just as valuable. Ooh, I love that. I
And you know
love
what
that.
it is, Dr. E, is that remember all of your experiences, your degrees, your certification, use all of those as tools in your toolkit, right? So at the end of the day, I can't erase the years of sales experience that I have. I can't erase that muscle. I can't erase the finance degree and the international business degree and the things that I learned in there. But what I've found that it allows me to do is it allows me to take those skills and tools in the toolkit to help people understand how to connect better, because I help people understand part of connecting is selling yourself to people, selling your gift. And if I use that experience as a salesperson to help people understand how to connect differently. So it's not like you throw away all of those things and experiences, but begin to use them as tools and resources that allow you to elevate the true gift that you have. And that becomes what makes you stand apart from other people.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I always think about my, gifts are I've been in finance forever, but I
Mhm.
love training. So right now I've been involved in training on finance skills
Yeah.
and similarly trying to allow others understand the dynamic of what finance means to an organization and their
Mhm.
participation in it as an employee. So
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. So in thinking about how you've come to be where you are, tell us about a time when you didn't feel valued, where you truly knew you weren't in the space where you were thriving.
Mm. It's an interesting question because I have to say that my approach to my professional career has been pretty unconventional because I'm the type of person where I cannot stay in untenable situations. So I typically am going to look for the opportunity to create what I actually want to experience. And there was a time when I was working for a company where the role that I was in was not necessarily the role that I wanted to be in. And because I didn't really want to be in that role, I didn't perform as well, right?
Mhm.
I was doing it, but I wasn't performing as well. And what I noticed was that my desire or the will that I had, or my diminished will in that role, was affecting my output. So what I did was I actually went to my manager, my supervisor at the time, and I said, listen, I love the company, right? But this role that I'm currently in, you're not getting the best out of me in this role. So I had to be able to figure out a way to understand what his goal was and to tie my performance to that. Like, listen, you're not getting everything you should be getting out of me in this role. But I know that I'm a valuable part of the team and I know that I'm a valuable part of the company. You don't want to lose me. So why don't we come together and figure out a role, co-create a role that makes sense, where I'm going to be really happy with it. So I'm going to do it exceptionally well. And it's going to add something right now to the bottom line that you don't currently have. And they bid on that, right? And that was how I got to co-create my first role. So the question being a time when I was uncomfortable, like, yes, in this role that I was in, I really liked the company. I didn't like the role as much. And what I did was instead of throwing away the baby with the bathwater, because a lot of times that's what happens, right? We're like, I hate this. This is terrible. I'm going to find a new job. I'm going to quit. Analyze the situation, right? Is it the company? Is it the role? Is it the department? and then see if you can find a way to co-create, collaborate in a way that creates a win-win all the way around.
That's great advice. And a lot of times it's the leader. So people leave leaders, not companies. So I
Yes.
love that you were at least you were able to have a transparent conversation with your leader, not make it about him or her, but really
Mhm.
about your fulfillment. And leaders appreciate that. They appreciate the honesty of their employees, but a lot of times we're not comfortable speaking up like that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you being brave and saying and having your information all together, very succinct, great evidence. I mean, why would they deny you? What a great, business sense and purpose. You said, "Hey, I don't want to leave. I want to add more value to you. Let's talk about how that will happen." So my elevate your value audience, think about that. You've got to sometimes step out of your own way and be brave and have that conversation because you never know what will happen at the other end of that. So
Absolutely. And
mhm.
understand that those conversations are not just going to fall into your lap, and that those conversations don't happen in a silo. So I would not have been able to have that transparent conversation with that leader if we had not built true connection first, right? If we had not actually built, I had found a way to connect beyond just the superficial, finding a way to understand what this person values, why that thing is important to them. And a lot of people said, "Oh my God, Dan, how did you get the company to create a role for you?" I said, "Just because I listened and I became a value partner and found a way for us to be able to create a win-win that would allow us each to achieve a goal that we couldn't achieve on our own." So the lesson there is, in order to elevate your value, you first have to be valuable in a way that is distinct. And that has to start with true connection.
Yes, I love that. I love that because again, you're right. It has to be that relationship with that individual so that they don't feel as if they're being attacked personally.
Right.
And I love again, like you said, you brought the value to the table around here's my uniqueness.
Yeah.
We can figure this out. So thank you for that. So once you made that transition to this beautiful role that you co-created, then what happened?
Yeah. So co-created the role together and had the opportunity to truly begin to create a path for myself that would prepare me for the next role. So the reason that I ended up co-creating a role was because I had a vision that I wanted to be a sales coach, right? So I was doing frontline sales. I had been a sales leader and I had a vision that I wanted to be a sales coach. But I knew that I could not go to an organization that would pay me what I needed to pay at as a sales coach without having had that formal experience. So what I said is, "Hey, let's create this role within the company because this is why the company needs it. This is why I do it really well, right?" And so it allowed for me to create it and to start to chart a path for a role that almost a decade later still exists at that company now. So helpful to them in that way, right? There was value there. But then it allowed for me to be even more marketable within the industry because now I've expanded my bandwidth of experience in sales. So from
I
there, it allowed me to be much more competitive when it came to even more visibility within the company that I was in because I had helped them do a big thing that created a new path. But then it made me even more valuable within the market. So a lot of people were interviewing me and asking me to come in and to do what I had done at the company that I was at in their company. So it created this expansive role within the industry where ultimately folks within that industry would call me when they were preparing to roll out this type of role. So it created a name for myself there, which led to me understanding that what I truly was doing was consulting and then allowed me to be able to make a really easy pivot from W-2 to consulting within the industry.
I love that. And I love, the fact that you leveraged where you were, and not letting them intentionally understand that you had an exit plan, but you
Right.
wanted to do the, that training inside the organization because you could still command a salary. You brought them a beautiful idea that again continues to this
Yeah.
day, but in the back of your mind you're saying, I'm preparing for my next, which may or may not be
Here.
here at this
It could be,
organization.
maybe not, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to limit myself
Right.
to that company, that opportunity, because anything can happen. They can divest. They can, like they could be anything that happens, right?
Exactly.
So I wanted to be able to have my fate in my own hands and to have my skill set be super unique to me and not just attached to a company.
Yes, that's great. And again, my Elevate Your Value audience members, keep that in mind. A lot of times, what we want to do, as you mentioned, we want to just quit. I want to quit. I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
But you don't have any skills. You don't have any background. You have any skill set. You don't have any customers. You got no business plan. If you at least stay where you are and develop those tools for yourself, either separately on your own time or have the company pay you to do it, oh my God, that's phenomenal.
So a lot of my clients right now that I work with, because I still do mentoring work with folks who are looking to elevate their value within organizations. They want to be able to move up from middle management, maybe into upper management of the C-suite. And one of the most important things that we talk about when we are doing that is the importance of the relationships, right? And making sure that you understand that um, you never want to burn a bridge. The relationship is the most important thing. So you really want to make sure that you are creating an environment where when you go, you still have an opportunity to re-engage in some way, because as a business owner and as a consultant, you need to constantly have relationships that are going to bring you a steady flow of clients. And I've been really fortunate to consistently get referred business from people who I led, from people who led me at companies that I am no longer formally attached to.
That's the greatest compliment, to have a company you worked for call you to come back in to
Yeah,
do something else
it's
for
an
them.
amazing accomplishment. Sure.
Yes, it is. Oh, that is great. That is great. So now you're the collab queen. You've leveraged your background in sales and really and created a name for yourself. When people come to you today, what is their biggest problem?
Great question. So when agency owners, entrepreneurs come to me, the biggest problem that they're typically having is that the networking that they used to do before is no longer working for them because they've reached an elevated place in their business. So when we start a business, typically, especially if you're like me and you are a first generation entrepreneur, you create these goals and milestones for yourself. And then when you hit them, you're like, oh, wait, what's next? Right? Like, I didn't think I was going to get here. Now I'm here. What do I go now? And when you're charting that path, a lot of times you have to shift your approach. Every elevated level of client that you're engaging with requires an elevated level of networking, requires an elevated level of coaching and consulting. So most of my clients on the entrepreneurial side are coming to me because they have typically made their first 6 figures in business. They're excited about it. And they realize that in order to get to those mid sixes or those sevens, that they need to network differently. They need to make connections in a different way. So they come to me to understand the strategy behind that and how to leverage and co-create with the people that are already around them.
I love
On
it.
the uh, enterprise side, typically agencies, companies, community-based organizations are coming to me because they have some type of sales problem. And they've done all of the traditional sales training, right? They've gotten the KPIs together. They've done whatever the traditional, I won't call the name, right? Such and such sales plan, such and such sales program. And they realize that they're not getting results and that the results really lie within the relationships that are not or are being developed on the team. So they have me come in to understand how they can heal their sales problem from the inside out. So those are typically the reasons that folks are coming to me.
That's awesome. I think about especially nonprofits and trying to do fundraising. If they're
Yes.
doing something extreme like a capital campaign, now they have to learn how to reach out to different donors, bigger donors. That's a different skill set than what they
Completely
may have
different.
been trying individual donors.
As they've
Absolutely.
grown, exactly. So in either case, it is an entity that is at a different level of growth and production than they've ever been before. And they need somebody that can come in and help them understand how to utilize what they currently have to excel at that next level. I don't come in and say, you need this, this, and this. I am not that person. I'm the person that says, let's look at what you have and let's help you understand how to adjust it, optimize it, leverage it differently for this new level that you're in.
Oh, great. I love that. I love that. A lot of times people are looking for someone to come in and say, do this, do this, do this. But you really have to assess the skill set of what you're working with, because if it's not achievable, then it doesn't matter what you suggest to them to do, they can't do
Exactly.
it. I love
Exactly.
that. I love that. I love that. So especially in these areas around being able to think differently and I'll say manage to the next level, do you think part of that is just confidence, or they just are moving into a space that they're not familiar and really want to better understand?
I think it's confidence, but the source of the confidence is actually clarity. That's usually what I found. So people say, well, we don't know what to do. We're not really sure. We're not getting the results, right? They feel they're not confident because there have not been clear expectations of what success looks like. So if I'm working for an organization and I knew that I was very, very clear on what my KPIs were when that organization, I needed to do 25 meetings a week. The 25 meetings a week were going to lead to 5 clients. Each client is going to be $5,000, and now it's 25K. And now our organization has expanded or contracted, where now maybe the customer is a little bit different, or maybe the product or the service is at a different price point. And I have to reassign what success looks like. I've lost confidence because I don't have clarity. I don't know what the KPI is now. And I'm trying to use the old KPI for the new model. But when we sit down and we analyze that it actually is clarity, sometimes, Dr. E, it's as simple as that leader reassigning and recommunicating the vision, recommunicating what the new KPI is. It's that simple sometimes, and doing it consistently. And those typically are the things. It comes down to clarity and consistency and being able to inspect what you expect from people.
Oh, I love that. All right, audience, you heard that. Inspect what you expect. I love that. I love that. So, and you threw out a lot of great nuggets here. What do you have as and you just probably provided a couple of quick tips of what people really need to elevate their value to be able to get to that next step. Any other quick hits for someone to say, oh my goodness, I am in need of something right now. I love what I'm hearing. What can I do like right now?
Yeah, what can you do right now? So I typically, the folks who are going to be listening to this are the folks where I like to say you're kind of preaching to the choir. Because people that are listening to this are likely already the high achievers. They are the ones who probably already at the top of the class and they're looking for that next level. And a lot of times the things that are going to hold them back are themselves, self-sabotaging. The lack of confidence and clarity that we just talked about. So I actually wouldn't say for you to do anything differently than what you're doing right now, but do it with a different mindset, thinking about these 3 different things. Whenever you're preparing to go into that next room, to make that new connection, to propose a new collaboration, I want you to first remember the idea that done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect because perfect is never done. So whatever you're looking to do, take a step that will get it done. Reach out to that contact that maybe you're a little intimidated to reach out to. Propose that new project. Reach out to that person and ask for a lunch. so that you can start that mentoring relationship. Because when you get it done, what you're going to realize is that there's no perfect, because we're measuring the outcome. The second thing is to realize that you cannot make progress in a process that you don't participate in. A lot of times we will hold ourselves back from doing the next thing because we don't see the perfect path. So we'll create all these ideas in our head as to why we shouldn't do it. I can't start the business because I don't know about finance. I can't go for the promotion because I don't have the MBA. But if you commit to making progress in the process, doing one thing every day that gets you closer, you actually learn along the way and realize that you don't need as much as you thought you needed. Right? That's the best learning that you can do. And then the last suggestion that I would give folks who are listening to this and ready to elevate their value is to actually give yourself grace. And if you're watching this, I want you to consider extending the same grace to yourself that you extend to others. And when you take the opportunity to, whenever that next thing is, whatever that next step is, whatever that thing is that intimidates you, maybe you have some imposter syndrome around, just to walk yourself through those 3 steps, you're going to realize that you will make more progress than you ever imagined in your head because you're actually doing the thing. And that's what's going to take you to your next milestone.
I love that. All right. I hope you all had your paper and pens out for those nuggets. Wow. Thank you so much. Deana, any last words you'd like to share? And most importantly, how can someone get in contact with you? And do you have something you're offering to our Elevate Your Value audience?
Great. Well, again, this was so great. Thank you again, Dr. E. As I have mentioned, my name is Deana Jean, and folks call me your collab queen. And I am excited to connect with folks who are watching this, to elevate your value. I think it's so important, the work that Dr. E is doing, and I'm just thrilled to have the opportunity to connect with folks who are looking to better understand how to leverage what they currently have for stronger collaboration and connection. So what I am offering to the group is actually a complimentary collab chat. This is a 15-minute chat where we will have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about what you currently have. And I will give you 2 to 3 nuggets on how to take what you currently have and leveraging it differently to make connections that you need to get to your next level. So that is what I will share. It's going to get you out of procrastination, into action, out of your head, into progress mode. And I'm thrilled to be able to provide that to the folks who are watching.
Awesome. And how do they get in contact with you to get that?
Yeah, so you can actually find me on Instagram at Your Collab Queen, or you can also find me on Facebook or LinkedIn at Deana Jean, DeanaJean. And I will also make sure that there is a link available that will accompany this video so that you can click right on that link and you can jump right in.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy collaborating schedule for this conversation. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. There's so much I learned just from being in this conversation. I know I'm one of those perfection procrastinator people. I absolutely understand that that is truly holding a lot of us back.
Yeah.
Appreciate you freeing us from perfection and helping us move forward. And whatever that looks like, it is what it is. It's better than where you were, which was nowhere ultimately. So let's all move forward based on what we heard today. Thank you so much. And thank you, my Elevate Your Value audience. Continue to watch the remainder of the summit, and we will see you soon. Thanks so much.